thank you for viewing our website. We are Hope Evangelical Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod, located at 876 Lance Drive in Twin Lakes, Wisconsin, next to the police station. I am George Kelm, Chairman of the Elders and an organist for the church. We are pleased to have you listen to the message portion of a regular Sunday morning 9 a.m. worship service. The Reverend Dr. Timothy Oswald is our pastor and will be preaching the message. Dr. Oswald was called to our church in November of 2016, having retired as a Lutheran Navy chaplain and attaining the rank of captain. His messages and Bible studies have inspired members as well as visitors to our church. Please feel welcome to join us on any Sunday at 9 a.m. and Bible study at 10:15 following our worship service. We are a very friendly congregation and look forward to meeting you. If you would like to speak with the pastor, please call area code 757-831-6948. Again, that's 757-831-6948.
Grace, mercy, and peace to you from God our Father, from our Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. The gospel text that was read from Matthew chapter 2, there's some wonderful parts to that story that I'd love to spend time on. Somebody forwarded me something a long time ago. A Sunday school class had been learning all the stories revolving around Christmas from the early chapters of Luke and from Matthew. And then they were asked to draw a picture of one of the stories. And one of the little boys drew a picture of a jetliner, kind of a side view of a jetliner. And the Sunday school teacher said, "Well, what does that have to do with any of the Christmas stories?" And the little boy said, "That's the flight to Egypt." Sure enough, if you look, there were the little windows. You could see Joseph in one and Mary, and then the last one is a little baby. And then up in the front in the cockpit, there's a man in there, and the boy said, "And that's Pontius, the pilot." Well, the beginning of our gospel text, where Joseph is told in a dream to go down to Egypt, is often described as the flight to Egypt. And I wish I could spend time, I could give you a whole sermon just on that, because Matthew tells us that fulfilled that passage in Hosea where it says, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." Or the last part of our gospel text, where after Herod died, Joseph is warned in a dream not to go back to Israel. He goes up to Galilee and they settle in Nazareth, and they end up living in this town of Nazareth, and Matthew says that was to fulfill what the prophet said, that he would be a Nazarene. Now it's interesting, this is the only place in the whole book where Matthew says what the prophets in the plural say instead of prophet. And the interesting thing as you dig into it is you can't find anywhere in the Bible, in any of the prophets, where it says that he would be called a Nazarene. So it's really cool to unpack that. I hope I'm enticing your interest to study the Bible a little more, and wish we could study that. You'll have to do it on your own. But today, I would like to focus on the middle portion of our gospel text, and that is the portion that is often described as the slaughter of the innocents. Because when Herod learned that he had been tricked by the wise men, he sent down and he had all the babies 2 years old and younger in Bethlehem, in that region, killed. And the slaughter of the innocents we usually celebrate on the 28th of December, but I made an executive decision as the pastor, and I said that today would be the day at the church we'd be celebrating Pro-Life Sunday. And so that text was really a very good text to fit in to our theme for today. So that's the passage we're going to look at. Most churches that recognize the value of human life will celebrate Life Sunday somewhere in the second half of January. There's going to be a march downtown this afternoon with our Synod President, Dr. Matthew Harrison. There's going to be a march and a gathering by Lutherans for Life in Washington, D.C. later this month. And if you read the Hope Herald, it's my dream and hope and prayer that maybe we could get some of our young people in our church and their families out to that event next year. We'll see if God makes that possible. But I'd like then, because that's our theme for today, to focus on this passage from the middle of our gospel text, the slaughter of the innocents. This story, although it's not recorded anywhere else in extra-biblical texts, fits and accords very well with the kind of person that we know Herod to be. King Herod was paranoid that somebody else was going to take the throne from him. You talk about a guy whose life was filled with drama. He had 9 wives over the course of his life. His first wife, someone accused her of adultery, so he had her killed. There was a high priest, Hyrcanus, whose son was very popular with the people, and he was afraid that that son would become more popular than he was. So he invited him over to his palace, and under the pretense of going swimming in the palace swimming pool, he had paid some guys to start dunking him under the water like they were playing around, but they eventually held him under the water long enough until he drowned, and then Herod could just say, oh, it was a drowning accident, but he had him killed. He had 2 of his own sons, Alexander and Aristobulus, that he was afraid might become threats for the crown, so he had them assassinated, had them strangled. There were 300 soldiers that lived in the same place where they were in Caesarea, and he was afraid they might be more loyal to Alexander and Aristobulus than they were to him, King Herod. So he had those 300 soldiers killed. And then right near his death, the son that was supposed to succeed him was Antipater, excuse me. These names you kind of get on your tongue, don't they? Antipater. Then he had Antipater killed. So he killed a lot of his own family members because he was afraid they were going to be king. So here we learn in Matthew that when the Magi told him that the king of the Jews had been born, we shouldn't be surprised that he sent down there and had those little babies killed because he felt threatened by them. What a terrible and an awful thing. Of course, Jesus escaped because Joseph was warned in the dream to take Jesus down to Egypt. And so that night he left and he escaped the sword. But we're told in Jeremiah that this event fulfilled, we're told by Matthew that this event fulfilled the passage that was spoken of hundreds of years before by the prophet Jeremiah about